Oh,
There we go. Good.
excellent.
Well, I'm Tatiana Wolf. I'm the operations manager for Canada for Epic Photo Ops, and this is Al Daldagan. He's our social media guru for Epic Photo Ops, and we're going to host our second, our monthly questions and answer period for Epic Photo Ops. We are going to be fielding some questions for MegaCon specifically, since that's a show that's coming up this weekend. And one of the things that I'll mention now, and I'll mention again later, is that Meatloaf had to unfortunately cancel, and now he's back on the roster, so he was able to free up time to come to the show, to MegaCon. And we are selling solo photo ops for Meatloaf, as well as a foursome that has Nell Campbell, Patricia Quinn, Barry Bostwick, and Meatloaf in the photo op. If you have a duo photo op, a Rocky Horror duo photo op with Agenda and Columbia, or if you have the trio photo op with Barry Bostwick, Nell, and Patricia, and you want to exchange that for the foursome, you will have to do that at the convention. We can't do it online because it would amount to us refunding the money and then purchasing the photo op for you. So we can't do it online, but you can come to our customer service desk at the convention, and then we're happy to exchange that for the foursome if you want to do that, and then you just have to pay the difference in cash.
Yeah, and as you know, we refund things practically instantly, but your bank takes about a week and a half to do it. So
yeah,
it doesn't work.
It's about 10 business days that the financial institutions take. I don't know why it takes that long. It just does. From when we issue a refund, it leaves our account instantly, but it does take a certain amount of time for the refund to be processed on the credit card's account. If it's a Visa or MasterCard debit, that generally only takes a couple of days. For Visa, MasterCard, it takes at least 2 weeks. And for American Express, it can even take up to 4 weeks. They're really slow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we have a couple questions coming in now. The first one is from Nellie Neves. How long will we have during the photo op with the celebrity? The answer to that question is, it depends on the celebrity. If the celebrity has a relatively low number of people in their line, they tend to spend a little bit more time with people doing silly poses and having a little bit more fun. If you're in a lineup where there's a massive amount of people trying to get their photo, like say Stan Lee or William Shatner or something like that, you're generally going to have enough time to do a fist bump, and then stand there and smile and then leave and say thank you, and that's about it. That's nothing to do with Epic Photo Ops. It has to do with the celebrity having a massive lineup, and I'm sure you'll agree that it's nice that everybody in that lineup actually gets a photo, rather than one person getting a really long time with the guest or something. So.
Joshua Callis also says, how early do you need to be in line for the Stanley photo op? This is something that's not just for Stanley, but for all the photo ops. You have a group number on your ticket and you have a time on your ticket. And you should be arriving in the photo op area about 5 or 10 minutes before the time on that ticket, right? So if you're in group 3 that starts at say 5:30, then you'll be there no earlier than 5:15, right? We only have so much space to line people up. And if you end up showing up an hour early and hang out, then there's going to be more people that are going to do that because they figure, oh, this person's already lining up, I better get in line too, or I'll be late or something. And it's just going to create a barrier for the people that actually have their photo ops now, and they won't be able to get through there. So one of the things that we always ask is if you just show up about 5 minutes before the time on your photo op. We also have screens around the photo op area that will tell you what time your actual session is boarding or what time your actual group is boarding. And then just show up at that time for your photo op. Don't come any earlier because, like I said, we only have so much space to line people up, and we can only line up the groups that are now starting to go into the photo ops.
Yes, that's a very good point. And you know, if a guest is delayed because, or for whatever reason, the guest is delayed and the shoot has to be delayed, then we already have to deal with that situation. So having a bunch of extra people around an hour and a half early is not helping. So
it actually makes our job a little harder, just because then you get this mass of people in front of the lineup area and they're not able to get through. So
it's like Uli Kage, sorry, Uli Cage, however that's said. Your question is, how fast are the photos printed after the picture is taken? The answer to that is generally they're about 45 seconds. So once the photographer snaps the button, by the time you get out to where the pictures are developed, it should be there or very shortly thereafter. There are delays on the odd occasion because one of the things that we do is we have a live, one or more live human beings cropping the images to make sure that you get the best photo. And sometimes there's things that happen where somebody blinks and they're waiting to see if, you know, to shift the photos around to make sure that they got another photo for that blinker. Otherwise we have to send them back through. And so sometimes the croppers can get a little backlogged. We try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. But in general, it's within a minute of you getting your photo taken, it'll be sitting on the table, your 8x10 color image.
The way the photo op process works is you purchase your ticket either on site with cash. We don't accept credit cards at the convention itself, or online with credit cards. And once then you take your ticket, because you already get the ticket in your email. It should be sent to you right away or within the next 24 hours, depending on whether or not we just launched an event or whether the event has already been going on for a while. So you take your ticket to the lineup area, and they will put you in the corresponding lines for the photo ops. And then once the line starts moving, it moves really fast. So you don't have a lot of time in that line. Like if you show up 5 minutes before the session time starts, as long as the guest is on time, you're going to be through there in like 7 minutes. You're going to be done. And then you come up to the front. There's an area where you can leave your bags. You'll get checked in. There's an area for you to leave your bags. And then once you're done, you come into the photo booth. I will leave the booth up to Al because he's actually also a professional photographer. And you go in, you get your photo taken, you come back out, you take your bags, you come around, and at that point your photo will have been cropped and will have come out, and there'll be another person that will hand you the photo to you.
Yeah, and the important thing to remember about this, our customer service team fields a lot of questions that mainly focus around the fact that they didn't get their digital copy or something like that. Reprints and digital copies are triggered by our system when you scan out. So when you pick up your photo after it's been taken and you pick it up, it has a little barcode on it, and your ticket has a barcode on it. So you have to go to on the out where you leave, you scan the photo and the barcode on the photo and the ticket, which tells the system to send you your email with your digital copy, or it triggers the reprint printers to print your reprint or your extra copies or whatever. So if you don't check out, if you somehow figure you're going to skirt around the crowd and deke out the corner or something like that, you're going to lose that opportunity to get your digital copy, and then you're going to have to call customer service, and they're going to have to find your photo and then send you the customer or the extra copies and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a problem if you don't check out properly. So Phil Strange is saying, I've been to too many cons where you have been on site. One thing I find is that people working the lines have different info depending on who you ask. Is there a way to improve this communication? Yes, after every single convention that we do, we have a debrief with our team, and we talk about what did work and what didn't work and what can be improved. We have a number of ideas to improve this situation, and we're working on that. Unfortunately, what's happens at most of the conventions is we're given volunteers from the expo or the convention itself, and those volunteers are told, okay, you're going to be here and you're going to do this specific task, and then someone walks up to them in the middle of the show and asks them something like a question about where they go for this or that or the other thing. And people are people. Some people are like, I'm sorry, I don't know, go talk to those people. And other people make something up, and other people have an idea but don't know for sure, so they make a suggestion. It's really difficult, but we're working on that. That's a very good question, Phil.
One thing that I would suggest is, if you do have a question, come to somebody, to one of us that has a black shirt with the Epic logo, right? Because we will have the most up-to-date information. So if you're not sure, or if you're not 100% sure that, or you're getting conflicting information, come find one of us in a black shirt, either t-shirt with the Epic photo ops on it, or a golf shirt with the Epic logo, because we're the actual staff. So we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Joshua Callis says, will the bags be carefully watched during the photo ops? Yes, they will. We will have, there's a greeter there that will scan you in. And in general, we do have somebody there that will deal with the bag check area, but you do leave the bags there at your own risk. The thing is, we discourage people from taking bags into the photo ops, because then you get the situation where people take their bags in and then they have to put them down, and then they don't know where to put them, and they don't really want them in the photo, right? And our ushers in the booths don't have the capacity to hold on to the bags and to pass them off or whatnot, because they have to concentrate on their job, which is ushering people into the photo and helping them back out. So the best thing to do is always leave your bags in the number of years that we've been doing this, which has been about 4 years. We've never had a bag lost. So and we've been doing lots and lots of conventions, so we've never had an issue with bags being left there, even when there wasn't a bag check person available.
Yeah. Now, generally what happens is we have a person on bag check. And what they do is the tables are arranged in such a way that you come into the booth and you scan your ticket, you put your bag on the table, and then the bag person actually slides it down to the other end of the table. So when you come out on the other side, your bag is sitting right there. Now, the only time that gets a little bit odd is when there's a retake. For example, the photographer notices that you blinked or you had glare on your glasses or something, they'll send you actually past the bag check right back through and into the booth again. And in that case, your bag will stay on the end of that table while other people are coming out and picking up their bags. So, yeah.
One of the things that we're working on too is getting rid of the bag check table and actually having shelves with like little cubicles that you can put your items into the little cubicles. So they're all almost like they're little individual little cubbies.
Yeah.
So what else can we talk about that we should mention? I'm going to mention it again with Meatloaf, because I did promise that I was going to mention that a couple of times. So Meatloaf is back on the roster for MegaCon, which we're totally thrilled about. He's doing, other than doing the solo photo op, he's also doing a group photo op with Mel Campbell, Brary Boswick, and Patricia Quinn. And if you do happen to have a duo photo op or a trio photo op and you want to exchange that for the foursome, which is slightly more expensive, then please do so. Come to our customer service desk at the convention, and they'll happily credit your photo op and sell you the new the foursome, and then you'll just have to pay the difference in cash.
Yeah. Phil replied and said that he likes the shelving units that we had in Ottawa Comic-Con recently, a lot better than tables in the past. So
thank you, Phil.
Sounds like it might be a good direction to head for the rest of the cons we do.
Ashley says, if you didn't purchase a digital copy of the photo, can you at the convention? Absolutely. You actually have 3 opportunities to purchase digital photo ops. First, if you buy it, well, 4. If you buy it online, you can immediately click, yes, I want a digital copy on your order. Same thing when you're on site and you're purchasing a photo op, you can immediately purchase a digital copy for that specific photo op as well. If you've purchased an online photo op and you did not purchase a digital with it and you do want a digital, then you can come to our cashiers before the photo op and they will add a digital copy to your order. If you've already had your photo taken, then you can come to our reprint station and you can get your digital copy there. So there's lots of opportunities. And if worse comes to worse and you totally forgot throughout the entire convention to get your digital copy, then just email us and we will arrange to send a digital copy to you for the $10 that it costs. The booths.
Yes. So there's a couple things to understand about the booths. First of all, this is a photo op where you're getting your photo taken with the guest that you want to get your photo with. It's not an autograph session. There will be no autographs allowed in the booths. It's not a meet and greet. So unless the guest has a small lineup and wants to spend a little extra time with the people that come in, do not expect that. Do not expect the meet and greet. Expect to get the best photo that you possibly can, because that's what our goal is. And in order to do that, we need your help as well. We need you to come in and do what people ask you to do. And when the photographer says, okay, ready, you need to look at the camera lens and then get your photo taken with a nice smile or however you're planning your photo. Also, with a special note to parents, we mentioned this in the last QA, if you're bringing small children in, please remember that there's this kind of awful situation that ends up where the guest and the parents are looking at the kid going, look at the camera, look at the camera, look at the camera. And then the kid looks at the camera and the parents are still looking at the kid. And then they go, oh, he's looking at the camera. And then they look at the camera and the kid looks away. And we can never get a photo with everybody looking at the camera. So what we ask you to do is all the adults in the group look at the camera lens and just ignore the kid. We'll take care of that. Us as photographers, it's our job to get the kid to pay attention. So we'll make stupid noises, we'll wave our arms around, we'll have whistles and all kinds of things to get the kids' attention. Yeah, we're fine making fools of ourselves behind the camera. So if you're all looking at the camera, then that split second where the little baby or the little kid looks up and goes, what's that noise? Click, we get the shot and everybody gets their shot. So keep that in mind, parents and people with small kids.
We liken it to if you're on the airline, right, and the oxygen mask falls down, always put your mask on first before you put it on the child. And that's sort of the same thing. We always use the airlines for some reason because they have a good system going, I guess.
They deal with large crowds quite often.
So yeah, so always just worry about yourself and we'll worry about the children and you'll get a really great shot. Loves Timinage or Loves Timmy.
Loves Tim in New Jersey.
Oh yeah, that's Loves Tim in New Jersey. Had a question. You mentioned digital copy of our photo. I don't recall seeing that option for the Tim Curry experience. It's a package that's being sold through the convention and not through us. So anytime that there is a package that's sold through a convention, like the Tim Curry experience, like the Ultimate experience or the fan experience, or even when we had the Mark Hamill experience, that just comes with one photo op. Once you come and have your photo taken, you will have an actual photo op ticket at that point, and then you can come to the reprint station and purchase your digital copy at that point. They're $10, and that won't be an issue at all.
Not an issue. Anthony Marco just sent in a question here. Currently, I'm wheelchair bound. Is there anything special I need to know about my photo ops? We'll handle everything, Anthony. But what we like to do is we have a special lineup for people like yourself that need a little extra assistance, and we try to deal with those people at the very beginning of the photo op. And some people stay in their wheelchair and some people like to leave their wheelchair. If you stay in your wheelchair, it's perfectly fine. You come in, you position yourself appropriately. The guest usually helps, and then you get your great photo, and then you carry on your way. If you like to leave your wheelchair for the photo and you need assistance or however that works, we ask that you or your assistants bring the wheelchair to the opposite side of where you're actually going to be leaving, and then you know, get out of your wheelchair or get some assistance helping you out, get your photo, and then while you're getting back in your wheelchair and getting things organized, we can continue to bring the next people through. So that's the only real point there is you'll have a special lineup, and if you're going to leave your chair, we'd like you to bring it to the opposite side of the booth as you come in. So
wherever the exit is, that's where we'd like.
It's usually pretty obvious. You'll be in line, so you'll see everybody flowing, right? We have an in and an out.
Yeah. Something that I'd also like to mention is if you're having your photo taken and you have your parents with you or a friend with you that does not want to be in the picture, but that is with you, then we also ask they're welcome to come into the booth with you. That's not an issue. But as you're coming to the guest, we ask those individuals to please leave the booth. Yeah. Right? Just don't stay back where the lineup is, because then that confuses the guest. It confuses the photographer, because then they think that person is the next in line for their photo. Yeah. So always make sure that, you know, if you've got a friend that comes with you, and if the exit is on the other end of the booth, then make sure that as you're going to the photo with your guest, that your friend goes across immediately to the exit. That's you know, or if your parents, if you know, that would help us immensely, and it would make things a little easier for us. Yeah.
And it's all about flow, especially with some of the lineups that are really long, you know, potentially 400, 300, 400 people in the line, or even more in some occasions. Those need to go really, really fast, because we have a certain amount of time that we've allocated to take the pictures in a comfortable speed. As things, you know, any delays cause that time to get shorter and shorter and shorter. And then by that time, the people near the end of the line are getting slammed through really, really fast and not having as enjoyable an experience. So everybody should be trying to get everybody the best shot that they can.
Yeah, so I'd like to mention our group system, because I think that I know that sometimes people get a little confused, right? If you're in group 1, that does not make you a VIP. It just means that you are in the group 1. We always reserve the right to change groups and change sessions and prices. So if you are in one group and then for whatever reason we have to change things over because of time, because of things, it might mean that your group number gets changed, but that does not affect on how quickly you get your photo op. You will still get your photo op as long as you show up 5 or 10 minutes before the time on your ticket. You are guaranteed to get your photo op. There's obviously disclaimers that we have to make on that. If a guest for whatever reason ends up showing up very late and has to leave very early, then obviously that's going to impact everything, right? And then that's something that's out of our control and that we try to deal with as best as possible at the time. For the group system, we've specifically have it set up so that there's multiple groups. So for a popular guest like say Stan Lee or Tim Curry, we have multiple groups, and they start group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. It's best to always check what group number you are and what time it is on your ticket. Also check at the cashiers where we have the times, where we have it listed again, and throughout the lineup area, we will have TVs up that will show who we're lining up now, and we'll say we're lining up group 2, you know, in this lineup now. Groups does not mean that you're taking a picture with a group of people. Yeah. It just means that it's like boarding, again, here's the airport analogy, right? Yeah. It's like your zone 1 or your zone 2 or your zone 3. So it's just a matter of when you're boarding your photo op.
Brittany Almo has a good question, fairly well related to this. If a photo op is delayed, what would you recommend for someone who has another photo op an hour later? I'm afraid of missing a second photo op while waiting for the first. That's a really, really good question. The most important thing is communication. So if there are two photo ops that are fairly close together, and you note that there's a delay, for example, you showed up 5 minutes before your time and you're still standing there, let the line control know to let somebody know that that you have this situation, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that that you make both of your photo ops.
Yeah, and again, look for somebody in the Epic shirt. Because they'll be able to move you easier between groups. They'll be able to accommodate you much better than the yellow shirted volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
But that also brings up a good point. Scheduling your photo ops too close together. We recommend that you leave at least a half an hour between your photo ops. Just because there may be a delay, and if there is a delay, one guest may be really popular and may arrive a little late, and another guest may be not so popular and arrive early and may therefore want to start a little earlier. So we do have those situations happening. So this is why we recommend leaving at least a half an hour between your photo ops. If you do happen to accidentally get double booked because of the group system, say you're in group 1 for this guest and you're group 3 for that guest, and they happen to be at the same time, do let us know at the convention, the line control area. Say, hey, I have this conflict. Can you please help me? And we will make our best to accommodate you having both of those photos taken. So you don't need to be afraid of missing your second photo op, especially if it's an hour later.
Yeah.
So
an hour should be plenty of time. Obviously, with guest delays, we can't guarantee it, but with an hour difference, that should be fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, do you guys have any more questions? If you don't have any more questions, then I think Al had something else to say.
So with all the photo ops, we're going to do something really exciting. I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been doing an epic photo of the day at every convention for every day of the convention. We're going to have a contest. Actually, we're going to have a number of contests. Each month, we're going to have an epic photo of the month, and that's chosen by you. So what we're going to do is at the end of, after the MegaCon Orlando, which is the last show we have in May, we're going to start a contest on Facebook where we're going to pick a selection of epic photos of the day that were taken for May, and then we're going to get you guys to vote on them. And the image with the most likes is going to win a $10 off their next photo op, usable within a year at any convention you choose that we're at. Of course, it has to be an epic photo op, operated photo op area. Now we're also going to be doing a photo op of the year, and after the conventions are done for 2017, we'll be having an epic photo of the year, and all of the epic photos of the month that have won will be entered into the epic photo of the year, and you could win a free photo op of your choice at any convention within the following year. So this should cause two things. First of all, it should cause you to pay attention to the Facebook page and make sure you vote on the epic photo of the day or the epic photo of the month. And it should also convince you to come up with some good, quick little interesting poses with the guests that you're taking photo ops with this year. Especially as we addressed earlier, some of the guests that have smaller lineups will spend a little bit more time with their guests. But you know what? Some of the guests will actually do some of the funner poses, even if they have to do it really quickly. One way to do this is to have an idea of what your pose is going to be before you get up into the line and get into the photo booth. And then in some cases, you'll want to be able to explain that to the guest in clearly as possible. Some people have the pose on their phone and they're like, you want to do this pose? Okay, great. And then they ditch their phone and they do the pose really quick and then they leave. Yeah, so epic photos are going to be rewarded, and they're a lot of fun, and everybody enjoys seeing the crazy photos. So keep that in mind and see if you can come up with some good ideas. But make sure they don't take long, because you don't have long to do them.
No, you have about, for the really popular guests, you have about 7 or 8 seconds
Yeah.
total from when you walk up to the guest to when you leave the guest. You have about 7 seconds, which is not a lot of time. There are a number of things that you should be aware of, though, that are absolute no-nos, and that is picking up the guest or getting picked up by the guest. Those are liabilities that we just don't want to have to deal with. Right? It's just, I don't want the guest to accidentally drop you, and likewise, I don't want you guys to accidentally drop the guest because they're, heavier than you expected or whatever. That also includes jumping on their backs for little piggyback rides. The other thing that we do discourage is kissing and biting. That has happened. So I know it sounds silly that we have to mention it here, but please don't kiss the guest or ask to kiss the guest. Don't grab a guest inappropriately. And so just, be reasonable, because you may know these people from you may know their characters from the shows, from your favorite shows and all that. But the guest doesn't know you at all. So to them, you're an absolute stranger. And they do try to be as accommodating as possible. And no guest will ever say no to someone if they are being asked, because they don't want to seem impolite. So sometimes, yes, we may seem a little mean by saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that, right? But that's because we try to be accommodating to the guest and being reasonable in what to do. So please, when you do your poses, keep that in mind. There's we at Ottawa last weekend, we had the Degrassi High people, and they even brought their own props, and they made sure that everybody in their photos had a prop to play with, and that was awesome. So if you do have a prop, not an issue, but do be aware that some guests will not deal with props. They don't want to hold props. They just want to have their picture taken with the fans and try to accommodate as many fans as possible, which won't allow for a lot of prop taking. But if there is a situation where we do have a guest like that, we will mention it. Then we have individuals like Stan Lee, who will be seated. So keep that in mind too, that some of our older guests will generally be seated because it's easier for them. So try to incorporate that into your poses. Is there anything else that we want to mention? Anything else? Can the person behind the camera think of anything? No?
No, I think we're good.
Well, then I think we're good.
If there's no more questions, we'll see you again in a month?
Yep, probably in about a month.
Probably try and do another show in another month. And if you have more questions, feel free to send them our way through our customer service link, which is
support@epicphotoops.com. So anytime you have a question, so send it there, or you can always Facebook message us, and we will try to get your question answered as quickly as possible.
Yep.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, and hope you have a wonderful week, and talk to you next time.
See you next month. Bye.
Bye-bye.